Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we're doing a really fun special video because we officially hit 5,000 members of the community, which I'm so happy about and just so grateful for all of you for sticking around as long as you all have. I know some of you have been here for quite a while. A lot of you have been here since I quit my 9-to-5 job almost 2 years ago now, and I just can't believe that we've hit 5,000 subscribers. So thank you all so much. So if it's not already apparent, we're going to be doing a little Q&A video today. So I'm going to be keeping it pretty casual. And I just drank a huge cup of decaf coffee because I'm trying to convince myself that I drink caffeine so I could be nice and energized for you guys during this video. But I asked you all for some questions over on the community tab. I also asked you guys over on Instagram for any questions that you wanted to submit. So if you don't follow me on Instagram, make sure to go do that too. You know, I'm also on TikTok if you want to follow me there. I'll have it all linked down in the description. But anyways, we're just going to be answering questions and hammering through them as much as we can. We have quite a few to get through, and I'm really excited to talk with you guys more. So the first question that I got, I'm starting with the most general one, which was just for a life update, asking how things are going, how I've been. So everything's been going really good in terms of just my overall life. I would say things are going a ton better. I know I've been sharing over the past few months that I've been really struggling with headaches and just stress overall with, you know, how much I've been freelancing and things like that. And I definitely was overworking myself. But since I restarted 75 Hard, I've definitely been prioritizing myself a ton more, which has been really helping with my mental health and my stress levels and just feeling better overall in my body. So that has been amazing. I also started therapy last week, actually. So that has been going really great. I have my second session after this recording, so that will be really good. And I already know that's going to make a huge difference in my life. My first session already was amazing, so super happy about that. And overall, things have been going better because I feel like financially we're at a better level where we're able to pay for the things that we've been not spending any money on for, again, like almost 2 years because we were so tight on cash after I quit my job. So I've been able to start taking a bunch of aerial classes, which is something I love and have been wanting to do since college but never had the money. I started therapy, like I said, which was something I never had the money to do until literally now. And there's just been a lot of things that we've been able to put money towards that we didn't have to be so tight about financially, which, although I'm realizing that we're lifestyle creeping a little bit, we were definitely spending like way below our means and just keeping things super minimal. So I'm really happy that we're at a better spot and able to kind of spend money on things that, you know, just make daily life a little bit easier and also make big changes in our life, such as therapy, working out, and going to classes I enjoy. I've also been going to the chiropractor because of my headaches, which has been making a huge difference. And yeah, it's just been really great. So I'm excited because I think I'm going to be investing in a new camera soon. So we will hopefully have better quality videos over here as well, which I've been kind of putting off for a long time because I feel like this camera is fine. But now that I've hit 5K, I feel like it's a good time to invest back into the channel and back into you guys by providing better quality audio and video for you. So stay tuned for that too. But yeah, things are just going really well. I've just been feeling a ton better because I've been prioritizing myself. My headaches have gotten a ton better. I don't know if I updated at all since I got an MRI, but I had an MRI done and blood work done because they were a little concerned about how consistent and bad my headaches were for like 6 weeks, but everything came back normal. So I'm really grateful for that. And that was definitely causing me a lot of extra stress. So thankfully, I'm good in the head for the most part. I'm a little crazy, but you know, I'm good physically in the head, so that's good. So at this point, I just know that it's my stress levels. Like I just have to keep them low. So I've been very much prioritizing, not overworking, not taking on too many clients and things like that. And things have been really good. And we're almost at the end of our lease in this apartment, which is wild that it's almost been a whole year since we moved in here. So we're already talking about what we want to do in terms of our living situation. If we're going to re-sign here, if we're going to move into a 2-bedroom apartment maybe, so I can have an office, an actual like space to record. That'd be crazy. We'll see. I don't know yet, but yeah, it's all been really good. So I'm doing great. Thank you for asking. And let's get to the second question. So the next question is, how did I find what I wanted to do after I quit? And in all transparency, I don't really have a good answer for this besides I just tried a bunch of stuff. I literally pretty much had no idea. Well, when I quit, I thought I might want to be like an online coach. I obviously knew I wanted to do YouTube, but I knew that was like a long game. I knew it was going to take a long time before I was ever making any type of decent money for my channel. So I was not quitting with the intention of like suddenly making a ton of money from my channel. I did think I might have the ability to be an online coach if it was even just within my like group of connections and my network that I already had, because I have always been told that I'm really great at kind of like coaching people, but I was not doing it in any professional sense at all. So I have always wanted to do that, and that is what I kind of initially thought I was going to do right after I quit, but I soon realized that I was not ready for that yet and didn't even know what I would want to coach on. And I did not want to be just like a general life coach or anything like that. I wanted to be more specific. I wanted to be able to provide like a high level of value through my channel as well as through any type of coaching or anything I would do. So I decided to kind of put that on the back burner after doing some free coaching for some people. I don't know if any of my old beta clients are watching this, because I know some of you follow me on here, but hi if you are. And I always think back to how just fun that was to be able to test out coaching for free with you and, you know, see how it went. And it was honestly really enjoyable. But I was doing that during my 9-to-5 job, like while I was in the job, not during work, but like after work. And after I quit, like you all know, I did gig work. Obviously, I knew I didn't want to do that long term or anything. It was just a way for me to make some money. I did really enjoy pet sitting though, and that helped me to just learn kind of how to market myself and build connections and talk with people, because that was something that, I mean, I've always been good at talking to people, but not in a business sense. And although you would think like pet sitting isn't that extreme, like you really have to build a level of trust with someone when you first meet them for them to feel comfortable with you sleeping in their house or watching their pet or anything like that. So that was a skill that I started to grow and realize I actually enjoyed talking with clients, and it was something I liked doing, and was like, maybe I can turn this into more of a business focused type of way where I talk to clients. So that brought me into the world of freelancing more. I had someone reach out to me who wanted to do some digital marketing freelancing. They had a potential client that they wanted to work with already that was kind of in the works, and they let me kind of jump on and join in to kind of get my feet wet and see what I thought. I was doing some web development, I was doing some marketing analysis, social media. I was just messing around in anything I could get my hands on. I started working with clients and helping them with their business finances, doing, in some cases, even being just like an overall business coach or consultant for them and answering their high-level questions about different things for how to run their business. I've done interviews for applicants for some of the small businesses that I have freelanced and contracted out with. I've done like such a wide range of things that I was just able to get a taste for everything that I could to see what I actually like doing. And the funny thing is, through all of that, I haven't really figured out what I like the most, but I have found like what I don't like and what I don't want to do a ton of. But for me, what has been the most obvious is that if I just am able to try as many things as I can really see what things I'm just like, heck no, I do not want to do that. And also be able to not kind of get burnt out by any one specific task and kind of work in a lot of areas, although it is a little bit more stressful sometimes doing that. But it's a way for me to make a good amount of money while I'm still trying to build up what I truly want to do, which what I truly want to do at the end of the day is create content on YouTube and help people through my channel or through products or services that I offer through this platform. So that is really what I want to do. I've always known that, like I said, I wanted to be a coach initially. I've always known I really wanted to help people, and I have really loved and enjoyed helping small businesses. But I've realized that even with the small businesses, the level that I've really enjoyed helping them is when it's on a much higher level or broader level, like when I'm working with clients where I'm just kind of in the nitty-gritty doing tasks and helping them with small things. I don't enjoy that as much. I much more enjoy whenever I'm getting on calls with them and we're looking at their business from like a holistic perspective and looking like, where are we not putting energy into that we need to put energy into? Where are we spinning our wheels that we don't need to be spinning our wheels and we could streamline it or create a funnel for it? I've really enjoyed that side of it. And I also have enjoyed helping with overall high-level marketing for multiple clients that I've worked with. Especially when they're looking into going into YouTube and things like that. I've worked with quite a few clients on just YouTube startup overall, and the more small businesses I work with in that area, the more I realize I just always have had a passion for YouTube, and that makes sense that I would enjoy that as one of my like top things that I've done since freelancing. So if I could give anyone advice on this, it would be to just try anything and everything you can get your hands on at the beginning. Don't overwork yourself though, and be careful how much you take on. I have a bad habit of saying yes to everything, so be careful about that, but besides, the limit of how much you have in your day time-wise to work, do as much as you can in terms of different tasks, and, really try not to say no to anything when you're first starting out, because you really never know where something's going to take you or what potential client you might work with. And even if it's something you're like, I don't really think I'm going to like that, maybe you end up loving that, or maybe it ends up being a quick project and the client appreciates you so much that they refer you over to someone else who's able to give you the type of work that you really do know you love. So that actually just happened to me, which is why I'm saying that. That's not just some cool sounding story. It actually just happened. So you never know what could come. So I just recommend saying yes to whatever you can without overworking yourself. So another question, which I thought was super interesting that someone asked, is how did my 9-to-5 life help me in becoming a freelancer, if at all? And this is super interesting because I have found that overall, it has actually not helped me at all. The only thing that has actually, I would say, helped me in that arena was just being able to talk on a more professional level, which is something that, when you're in college, you don't really do. You're way more casual with your other students in your classes and even your professors. I find I'm definitely more professional with professors, but it's not to the same level you are with clients, especially when you first meet them. I have found though that a lot of my clients I end up becoming very casual with because we get to know each other pretty well. But at the beginning, or for some of my more short-term clients, I definitely benefited from my 9-to-5 job, just seeing other people interact in a corporate setting, even though I don't want to give off corporate vibes in my calls. So it's helped minimally in that way. Besides that, honestly, the only other thing I can say that helped was the grind of working 9-to-5 and the appreciation and change in perspective that I gained from leaving that and going to a place where I'm working for myself but still need to grind, quote unquote. I don't like that word because it gives a negative connotation, and I don't find it negative personally. I think there's it can become negative, but for me, whenever I'm just working my set number of hours and I'm getting done what needs to get done and I'm not overworking myself and, spending too much time at night working on weekends and stuff like that. I mean, I could get into this in a whole nother video, which at some point I'm actually going to. I find that part of the job did help me because when you're in school, you have such a flexible schedule, and even though in school I was working 20 hours a week in my job, and at one point had also another internship on top of that and was in full-time school, I was really busy in school. But it's very different when you're just kind of running all over the place and going to classes and stuff versus being a freelancer and working from home by yourself. You have to be very disciplined and consistent, and you have to kind of push through the hard days a good amount of the time. There's still days where I just am I feel terrible, I'm taking the day off, but occasionally you have to push through those days. So it did teach me that. Besides all of that, really, it didn't help me with anything. I got no connections from it, nothing like that. The only other component I could say where it helped me is because I was in engineering and I have an engineering background, that has given me some credibility in terms of the clients that I've landed. And not all of them. Some of them have no idea that I was even in engineering or any of that, but I found that for some, it has increased my credibility and made them trust me a bit more early on, as well as it also, I think, was a huge component in me landing the CNN interview. The fact that I was an engineer who left corporate and was doing gig work, it was a very interesting sounding story, which brought me to that interview, which that alone has also helped me a lot in just gaining credibility, because it's something a lot of my clients share with people when they refer me. They're like, oh, you should work with this girl, she's amazing, she did XYZ, blah 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 blah, she was on CNN. And it always just intrigues people, oh really, that's so interesting. And since I'm working with a lot of clients that are themselves entrepreneurial or freelancers in some way, I find that they connect with me a lot more when they hear that I left my corporate job to do this. It's this immediate oh my gosh, you get it, you understand me, I understand you, and we relate in that way. So I found it to be helpful for that. So not in the ways you would expect, long story short. So another question I was asked is, what's your near future plan on investing? So I'm not sure if this is saying what's my plan for the near future on investing long term, or if they mean what's my plan for investing in the near future as in money that I want to take out soon. So I'm going to kind of answer both pretty quickly because I do want to make another video where I talk more about this. But number one, for the near term, in terms of money that I want to use soon, I am actually just investing my money into a high yield savings account. I use Betterment, and I'll link it down below for you guys in case you want. I think I get some type of, like, if I refer you, you get something, I get something. I don't know. I'll put it below. You'll see if you do. You might not get anything, and if you don't, you'll see it that it doesn't say that you get anything special. So then you'll just be helping me if you click the link. So totally up to you if you just want to go to their website. But they have a 4.2%. They have a 4.2% interest rate right now. Sorry, my brain just completely froze. And that's like one of the highest I've seen. And you don't have to do anything special to get it. You just have to sign up for it, which is pretty cool. So I'm using that currently to save up cash for the down payment on our house right now. And in terms of my like short-term investing, like I currently am not investing for the short term. I am a buy and holder through and through. So any investments I am making, I am just investing for the long term. So I'm investing into my Roth IRA consistently. Now, finally, I can actually do that. Thank goodness. So I'm trying to max that out every year. I need Oliver to open up his so we can start maxing his out as well, so we get the most benefit from that. So we're doing that. And then anything on top of that, I would just be investing into like a total stock market fund. So keeping it very basic. I have been looking into other options and strategies, so I will update you guys if I change that up, but I found M1 Finance to be the easiest to use, so I'm using them for my Roth IRA as well as just for general investing. But again, all my investments are for the long term. I'm investing for the long game, investing consistently, whether the market's high or low, I don't care. I'm putting money in. That is how I'm viewing it. Does that mean that I would never take any money out of an account? No, that doesn't mean that. So if my general account was really high around the time we were looking to buy, I could potentially make the decision to cash out some of it. But overall, I want to have a long-term investment account for retirement that I am consistently investing in and not taking out of. And then I want to have another account to just do general investing into. But I need to do a bit more research because I have always been big in investing. I think I said before in a video, I started investing when I was 16. I made my mom open up a Betterment account for me to invest in. And I have just always been super interested in it. It's something I find super fascinating in general. So something I love, which by the way, if you want to just learn more about the psychology of all of that, I just read the book, The Psychology of Money. I'll have it linked down below in my Amazon storefront in like my book section where I have all like my favorite books, but such a good read. Highly, highly recommend reading it. Super interesting and really makes you think about how your past and other people's past affects their financial decisions, which I feel like we kind of ignore that and just assume like this is good advice, this is bad advice. And if you're not following the good, like you're not doing it right. But there's so much more at play when it comes to your money. And it really has helped me because I've struggled a lot with money concepts throughout the years where when I was in my 9-to-5 job, I very much viewed it as like invest in retirement, just save and then, cash out and retire when you're older or whatever. And like I wanted to never have debt and like I wanted to, buy all our cars in cash, pay off all our debt as soon as possible. Like I wanted to be able to have as much money down for a mortgage as we possibly could. Then when I got into the world of entrepreneurship and started learning more about leverage and the ability to, get a mortgage at a super low interest rate and have less of a down payment so that you can take that money and invest it in assets that are going to accumulate cash flow for you, or just invest it in the market. That was something that then I was like, oh my gosh, I've been thinking about this all wrong. Like, I don't want to just buy everything in cash. But this book really helped me to understand why my brain is wired to think that buying everything in cash is better and safer, and why that's actually okay if that's what I want to do, even if it's not the best financial decision or doesn't make you the most money in your lifetime. There's an intangible component of investing in money that has nothing to do with the actual money, and it's just about your peace of mind. And the book goes into so much more detail with this, but it was just super eye-opening and helpful and made me realize that since I have the engineering background I have and most of my degree was statistics, sometimes my brain just gets so cut and dry and it's like, no, it's logic. Like this has to be this way. But the reality is like it doesn't have to be that way, which is why I'm saying with my investment strategy that is there going to be a time where I might have this general account that I just invest on top of our Roth IRAs that we might take out of at some point. Like, yeah, that's possible. Is that the best financial decision? No, it's probably the best financial decision to just keep my money in that account at all times, because timing the market is never going to work, in my opinion. So, but that doesn't mean that it's not the best decision, because maybe I'll be able to take that money out to buy something that we need for our family or whatever, or pay for part of med school, or who knows what, that's going to give me peace of mind. You get what I'm saying? So it's not a simple, easy concept. So yeah, I'm just excited to talk more about investing in the future, because this is something I've been like grappling with in my head for so long, because I have like both sides of my brain viewing it from both angles. And I'm like, how do I like actually make this into something, Anyways, that's my answer to that question. I hope that was what you meant, and I answered kind of both sides of it. So the next question is, what is your YouTube goal in 5 years? This is super fun because I tend to make 1-year goals, and I don't know if I've ever thought of it from a 5-year goal. So again, my mathematician brain right now wants to be like, okay, well, it's been 2 years and I'm almost going to be at my 2-year mark where I hit 1,000 subscribers, like 2 years since hitting 1K, I'll probably be at, my guess would be, if I continue at the same rate, probably 7,000, which means like exponentially, oh my gosh, I can't do that much math, but I'm trying to like think of it exponentially and be like, so where would I be in 5 years? But that's not the question. The question is, what's my goal? But that is sometimes how I like build my goals. But in reality, my 5-year plan would be that in 5 years, I am making enough money from my YouTube channel where I'm able to pay for and employ myself, as well as employ my sister, who is currently in prison. I know I've talked about that before. And so she gets out in a few more years. So in 5 years, if I was able to employ me and her and still, be in a comfortable position, that would be my ideal goal for YouTube. So that's what I would love to do. In terms of just the channel, I would love it to be at a level where I'm helping more people and at a higher level, and able to work with more people, either one-on-one or in group settings, to just, I don't know, like just help as much as I possibly can, because I feel like there's only so much I can do by creating content. And I know this myself as someone who loves to consume helpful content, or, financial content or mindset content or any of that. It's really easy to watch all of this and just like consume it and be done with it. And sometimes it almost makes us feel worse when we do that. And I always try to make my channel be a place of like positivity and upliftment. Is that even a word? I'm making it a word now. But at the end of the day, you never know what someone's going to do with your content, and it might just be making them feel worse about themselves or feel demotivated, which is never what I want to do. So I know that part of that is going to be providing a higher level of value to people who are, wanting a higher level of value offered to them. So that's kind of what I see as the 5-year plan as well, in terms of just the channel, is that I'm able to provide a higher level of value for the people who want it, but still able to increase the positivity in general on the internet and just the awareness on what's possible to more people, because that is something that I just see over and over again, is just so many people feeling defeated, or like there's no other options for them, or that they're just so stuck. And that just makes me so sad, because I know that I used to feel like that too. And like comparing to how I feel now, I just don't want anyone to feel like that. So if I can keep making free content that brings more awareness to what's possible, and then have a higher level, higher value content that is for those who are looking for more support, that would be my 5-year goal, is that is actually a thing and actually happening. And then lastly, what I would love to do with my channel, and something that, I hope this happens in less than 5 years, but I would love a way to connect with people in person, like people who are doing what I'm trying to do and what I see others doing online, and just trying to make a living from this. I know that like when people get to a higher level as content creators, they like make friends and, connect with each other and things like that. And I have made some connections through YouTube, but I just think it would be really cool if they were like, I don't know, and maybe like there kind of already is, I don't know, but just like conventions or gatherings or meetups, or just like this concept of, if you view content creation as like a corporate job, how like a corporation would have like an annual get together where everyone from all the offices meets up. Like I'm envisioning something like that, and I would love to actually create that and plan it. Like just this like amazing visioning session where people can get together and brainstorm and bounce ideas off of each other and meet and make friends and make other connections and help each other grow their businesses online, just by all being together. I don't know. And when I think about it, it's like I don't just view it as something like VidCon or like, you know, these convention type things that already exist. Like I view it as something more than that. I don't know how to describe it, but like I have this vision in my head, and I just, if I could somehow bring that to life in the next 5 years, I would be super satisfied. So that's another component. So if you're in the Orlando-ish area or just around Florida in general, and you're a content creator or trying to build up a business for yourself or something, leave your, well, not leave your info down below, but like comment down below or DM me on Instagram or something. Cause I just like want to make more connections with people around me. And I don't know, I just think it'd be so cool to have some type of like retreat or something. Maybe that's more what I'm looking for, like a retreat for people who are doing what I'm trying to do, and like for online creators. Anyways, I digress. That's my 5-year plan, if that makes sense at all. So the next question is, what are your tips for storytelling or public speaking when it comes to YouTube videos? So this is a really good question, and something that I'm going to try to explain as best as I can. But in terms of tips, talking about tangible tips, the first thing that I feel like has really, really helped me has been having a smaller camera. This sounds so dumb, but when I used to record on my phone, I had this problem where I would just like look at myself, and like right now I'm looking at my tiny screen on this camera, but it's so small, so you can kind of get the feel. But when you look at yourself, you just start overthinking what you're saying. Like I hope you felt that just felt awkward, because that felt so cringe for me. I realized that when I look at myself, it's so hard for me to talk to the camera. Like I feel like I turn into a different person. And the reality is, although I probably seem very extroverted on camera, maybe not, maybe I completely don't, but I'm actually a very introverted person, which is also something I didn't know back in the day. I used to think I was extroverted and would like fall more on the extroverted scale, but I realized I was like forcing myself to be extroverted, and I'm definitely an introvert and get very drained when I'm around other people and love to be by myself, and that's when I get my energy. So what I found is that by recording, I can be myself fully, especially when I'm alone. So that's another component, is having no one else in my vicinity. Like my husband's here. I just sound so cringe. I hate it. And if I can't record in front of anyone. Like I have to be fully by myself, and I have to look straight at the camera and just pretend like I'm actually talking to you guys, like that you're sitting here, but also not too much, because then I would get anxious and be really awkward, because I don't like public speaking, but talking to the camera on YouTube is just so much easier for me, and it helps me just get my thoughts out, and I don't know, I just feel really comfortable doing it. So that it would be my tips for just how to talk to the camera. In terms of my storytelling techniques, what I would say is that I have watched a few different videos and talks and read some articles just on storytelling in general. But the one thing that I think has really helped me was StoryBrand, which is a book by Donald Miller. I use the StoryBrand framework with like so many of my clients and reference it all the time because I absolutely love it. And that framework alone just really helped me to connect more with my viewers as if they're the characters in the story, and viewing the information I'm sharing as the most important thing that I can tell them for them to get where they want to be in their life. So when it feels like what I'm saying has a purpose and I'm talking for a specific reason, I found it a lot easier to kind of speak out what I was saying. And there are times where I do more script out my videos, where I kind of plan out what I'm going to say. And in those situations, I basically follow kind of the StoryBrand framework, or just a story framework in general, of having like a plot of like, this is what's going to happen. Here's how it happened. Here's what would happen if it didn't work out. Like viewing it as like a plot line and trying to explain whatever I'm getting at through that. But a lot of times I actually just free talk. And so it's kind of hard to say exactly what my framework is, but I'm sure you guys can tell the videos where I more script out and the ones where I just like free talk. But the last thing I'll say is just practice as well. Like the more I record, the more comfortable I am, and just the better it comes out, versus back in the day, like when I was in my 9-to-5 job, I rarely ever recorded. And when I did, it had been months, and it just like felt really awkward and like hard. And I also just wasn't connected with what I was talking about. I felt like I was forcing something with the content I was creating back then, and now I really am just trying to create I'm just trying to create content that I want to make, and I want to make it because I really feel like it will help other people. And that's just how I view it, is like it has a purpose, if that makes sense. Versus sometimes I vlog a lot and I never use the footage, where I vlog and I'm just kind of like, I don't even know I'm vlogging, and it just doesn't really come out that great. So I feel like it's having a purpose before you start talking, and that all sounds really obvious, but yeah, maybe that was the worst advice I could ever give. I don't know. I hope that was helpful. Okay, so the next question is about the golden circle method and setting deeper goals, and whether or not your habits that you're building need to always be connected to a goal for it to be like viable or for it to work and for you to build that habit. Personally, I would say no. I do not think that your habits need to be connected to a goal. I think your habits can just be just that, habits. And if you're working or trying to figure out how to best build more habits and build better habits, I would suggest reading Atomic Habits by James Clear. Some of my favorite takeaways from that book, I would say my top one is habit stacking, if I'm remembering his naming for things right, his nomenclature. But so for example, I used to feed my cat every night and I fed her once a day. I wanted to start feeding her twice a day so that she would have longer periods of time where she wasn't just like bulk eating all her food at once. So what I did to do that is, at first I was really struggling to remember to feed her in the mornings, and she wasn't bothering me about it because she was used to being fed, at night anyways. And what I started doing was I told myself that when I make my coffee, I have to go turn on my kettle. When I turn on my kettle, that means I turn around and I start feeding the cat while the water is boiling. And then I feed the cat and then I go make my coffee. So I stacked the habit of feeding my cat with making my coffee, which is something I do without fail every single day. So if there's a habit you're trying to build, find a habit that you already have in your life that you're consistently doing without fail, and just connect the two and find a way to connect them so that every time you do the one habit that you already do daily, it reminds you to do the other one. So that's what I found to be the most useful personally for me. The other thing I would say is just preparing yourself the day before as much as possible. If you're trying to go to the gym every day, lay out your gym clothes the night before, things like that. Habits, in my opinion, do not need a goal associated with them. But what I will say is that when a habit is becoming a lifestyle change, so feeding my cat in the morning is not a lifestyle change, like that's just a habit. But going to the gym every day is a lifestyle change. That requires so much more effort than just going to the gym. So the habit to me with going to the gym would just be putting on my gym clothes or putting my sneakers on to go on a walk in the morning. That is the habit portion. It's like the simple piece that feels weird if you don't do it, if that makes sense. So if I go on a walk every day after I finish my coffee, I stand up from the couch with my empty cup, I put it in the sink, and I every day go put on my sneakers and then go on a walk. If I don't put on my sneakers one day because I don't feel like going on a walk, the part that feels weird is most likely going to be the fact that I didn't walk to the door after setting my coffee cup in the sink and put on my sneakers. Because it's more of just like the simple habit part, the small version of the habit or the small piece of the puzzle that creates that lifestyle change that I find to be the easier part, or the part that's just about consistency and figuring out how to build the small habit. The huge lifestyle change of like going on a walk every day, or like me doing 75 hard, in my opinion and for me, has always required a truly helpful and purpose-driven associated goal, in my opinion. And that's where the golden circle method comes in for me. So if you're just trying to build a habit, read Atomic Habits. If the habit is a large habit that actually you would call a lifestyle change, that's when I would suggest doing the golden circle method. So I hope that's helpful and answers your question. And to answer the last part of what you said, which is that your concern is that building habits is hard, 1,000%. I know I've said like building habits is the easy part, but what I mean is that the habit compared to the lifestyle change, the habit is the easier part. Building habits is still really hard. Like when I was struggling to feed my cat every morning, it took me a few weeks to get it down, but once I found that thing for me that worked, which for that task was just habit stacking, it made it a ton easier. So I would check out the Atomic Habits book, see what sticks the most for you in whatever habit it is you're trying to build. But now I am curious like what the habit is that you're trying to build, or if it was a lifestyle change. So do let me know that below when you watch this. So the next question is about 75 hard. So I've had a few women actually make comments about this as well, but it was about whether or not completing 75 hard as a woman is like possible, which not possible because like obviously it's possible, but like whether it's a good idea or if it's made for women, and how it's done for women because, you know, it seems that it'd be much harder having your period and those weeks are really tough. So I just kind of wanted to overall address that concept and also say I'm actually posting a video about this soon. So stay tuned for like a longer version of this. But overall, in my opinion, what I found, I think that 75 hard is actually more beneficial to women than it is for men, even though it was created by a man. And I think the majority of people who do it or did it when it first was created by Andy Frisella, the guy who made it, were men. I personally think women need it more than anything, especially right now. And the reason I think that is because as women, I find, me and my friends, other people around me that are women, not everyone, but anyways, okay, I'm trying too hard to not generalize, but I think that it's way more common for women to struggle with doing things for themselves and, you know, putting themselves first and taking care of our health in a way that matters to us and not because of outside reasoning or societal expectations or things like that. This is a mental toughness challenge. 75 hard is not meant to be a physical challenge, although a lot of the rules of it are physically based, such as 2 workouts a day. The thing for me that I found extremely beneficial is it really helped me to get out of my head and viewing all of these components of a healthy lifestyle as something I had to do for some expectation that other people set on me, such as being skinny or looking a certain way or, you know, what else? Just because I don't know, like any reason that had nothing to do with me. Like, oh, if I'm drinking soda every day, like people are going to judge me or say that that's bad for me. And like, I don't want people making comments about what I eat or drink. Or I should read more because people think I'm dumb because I'm a woman and like I don't know anything, or I need to learn more about this topic because then others won't think as bad of me if I understand it. You get what I'm saying? Like these societal expectations people put on us as women and how often we put ourselves aside, especially when we become mothers. Like I'm not a mom, I don't have kids, but I did go through the experience of me and my mom together raising my 2 nephews when I was in high school. And I saw how much that takes out of a person because it took a ton out of me and my identity when I was raising my nephew. And that wasn't my kid, so I'm sure it's very different when it's your own kid and things like that. But as a 17-year-old who was in school and working and then also raising a 4-year-old, it was very difficult for me to separate what I had to do for him from what I had to do for me. And I found it so much easier to just do everything I had to do for him and call it a day. And do what I had to do for school and call it a day. Do what I had to do for work and call it a day. I never thought to myself, well, what do I want to do? I had no hobbies that year. I wasn't working out at all. I wasn't eating well. I really did nothing for myself. And I know that once I have kids of my own, that's going to be something I really struggle with because I already am someone who has in the past struggled with doing things for me and me alone. So this challenge I found to be amazing for helping you figure out what you want to do for yourself and actually have the right mindset and reasoning for doing it and only doing it for you and not giving a crap what anyone else thinks. So I think it's so important that women do this challenge and just be careful of your reasoning behind doing it. But I think if you're doing it for the mindset shifts, you're doing it for the mental toughness, you're going to get a lot of benefit out of it and you're pretty safe from the toxic potential of the challenge. But if you're someone who struggles with, you know, ED or things like that, highly recommend talking with whoever you can trust or your, you know, a actual doctor. That is something that I think can be very dicey if you combine 75 hard with. So, you know, be careful and think about where you're coming from and what your purpose is for doing the challenge. But I do think it's super beneficial for women. And I think everyone should do the challenge, but that's being unrealistic. So I think a lot of women should try it is what I'll say. And to touch on the period aspect, because I think this is interesting, seems like a lot of people have this feeling that it's bad to work out when you're on your period or things like that. There's actually a lot of content out there about how to exercise in a way throughout your whole cycle that matches the different parts of your cycle and the different phases in your cycle. So if you're curious about that, I would look into that. But what I will say is that you can definitely work out when you're on your period. I found that going on my walks when I'm on my period during 75 hard, I have the least amount of cramps that I've ever had. My period got the best that I had ever been in terms of cramping and like emotional effects and PMSing and things like that. It was the best that it ever was when I was doing 75 hard consistently. There were some days that I would have bad cramps and it would be pretty rough, but as soon as I would get up and go on that walk or as soon as I lay on the ground and start doing my stretching, I would immediately feel a ton better. So I think if anything, it is highly impacted my period in a positive way by making it much more bearable. And I'm someone who had struggled with extremely bad cramping during my period for years. So 1,000% in that capacity, I think it's worth trying out and seeing and doing some research into the right types of exercises to do at the different phases of your cycle to just, more match with your own internal body and what it's looking for at the different phases in your cycle. Another day, different setting here, but I just realized that I missed a question and I really wanted to answer this one. The question was whether or not I would ever live abroad. And the quick answer would be no, only because I can't imagine actually living abroad. When I lived in DC, I felt like I was too far from family and it was difficult. But my best friend actually lives in South Korea right now, and she wants to live in South Korea for a while, like as long as she can, or at least part-time. Cindy, if you're watching, hey. She also has a YouTube channel. I'll link it for you guys in the description. But it would be so cool to be able to visit her more frequently, like be able to go abroad more frequently. So I think that would be amazing, to have the flexibility and financial ability to go abroad and visit Cindy whenever I wanted to would be cool. But I can't imagine ever living abroad. In some crazy world, if I was like super loaded rich and I had a apartment abroad, that would be super cool. But also, I've never even been abroad. I've actually only been to the Bahamas as the farthest out of the country place I've been. So I can't even really say for certain. I need to travel abroad before I'm ever even going to know if I want to live abroad. You know what I mean? So I don't know. That's my answer to that one. But it would be super cool to live abroad, even for a short period of time. But also with Oliver wanting to become a doctor and going to med school and residency, it just probably isn't feasible. But who knows? Maybe I'll be visiting Cindy in South Korea for long periods of time in the future. We'll see. You never know. So the last question I'm going to finish with is another 75 hard question. So someone asked me that after doing the challenge, did I find that my habits had been formed and it was just this nice transition out of the challenge, or was it this scary, what do I do now feeling after doing the challenge? So I will say that there's kind of two pieces to this in my answer. The first is that I ended at a really bad time. So when I was finishing 75 hard the first time last year, my best friend Cindy was actually in the US. I hadn't seen her in 2 years. She's living in South Korea right now. And we were huge foodies back in college, loved food. And we drove back to our college town to eat all of our old food and all of that. So we had a 10-day period she was visiting. I was on the challenge for finishing up the challenge the first 7 days of her visit. So the last 3 days she was here, if I'm adding all the math right, can't remember exactly, but the last few days she was here, I finished the challenge and we had to fit in going to all these food places that we were dying to go to together, all in those 3 days, which for me really messed up my ability to transition nicely out of the challenge. So my takeaway from that is I do not suggest planning this huge celebratory cheat day or cheat days after completing the challenge, because that really messed with me. But what I will say is when I was eating those foods, I was feeling really sick, way more than I normally used to, eating fried foods and sweets and stuff like that. I felt terrible. My body did not like it. It was very angry. And pretty quickly after doing that, I was kind of back to eating much cleaner because I did not want to feel like that anymore. The water, I did struggle to keep up, but what I will say is this time around, I found it a lot easier to keep the water up even when I'm not doing the challenge. And if you're thinking, Paige, aren't you currently on the challenge? Well, you'll see in a few days, or maybe you've already seen that I accidentally failed 3 weeks into the challenge. And so I took a week off because then I injured my shoulder in aerial and it was this whole thing. But there was a week where I wasn't doing the challenge and I was drinking almost a gallon of water every single day anyways, because I just find that I want the water. And now that I have a half-gallon bottle, it's a lot easier for me to just drink the water without thinking because it's full pretty much most of the day. But I drink at least a half-gallon of water when I'm not on the challenge now. So that piece, I would say, in a half-gallon to me is a healthy amount. You don't need to drink a gallon of water every day, but when you're working out and when you're working out twice a day and one of the workouts is outside and it's really hot and you live in Florida, the gallon of water is really necessary, and I usually drink it. And there's days I drink over the gallon because I need the water, and I'm very dehydrated from just how much I'm working out and being outside, even with taking like electrolyte supplements and things like that. So I already know someone's going to be thinking that. But anyways, so I didn't end it well. So I would highly suggest not doing a huge cheat day. But what I will say is that the second time around, my mindset has really changed. The first time when I did it, and everyone's going to be different with this, the first time when I did the challenge, I was so focused on just like killing it. Like I just wanted to do the challenge and get it done and like prove to myself I could do this. And I was really driven by my ability to prove to myself that I could do something for 75 days that was just for me, because I had been struggling so much with putting myself first and doing anything for myself and constantly people pleasing. So that was a huge component for me, and that really drove me to kill it the whole way and not fail at all, and I got through it without any mess ups. This time around, I already know I can do it. Like I did it last year. I'm capable of it. This time, my reasoning for doing it and my drive is different. I am much more doing it for the consistent feelings that I have while I'm on the challenge of just feeling good in my body, feeling physically and mentally well, having that really focused mental clarity that I get when I'm on the challenge. That is why I'm doing it this time. And I have found that this time, the time that when I failed 3 weeks in a few weeks ago and then took a week off, I was much more inclined to want to drink the water, eat the same way, read my pages at night, do workouts, go outside every day, because I was doing it for the feeling it was giving me. I wasn't doing it to like prove something to myself. So I think it's going to depend on why you're doing it. And I would suggest that if you don't feel like it sticks for you in the ways that you want it to stick after, consider doing it again, because I have found this time around to be completely different than the first time in the way it's affected me mentally, physically, emotionally, all of the above. It's completely different this time. So try it again if you feel like it doesn't hit you right or you don't end it right the first time. And also know that you don't have to be perfect 24/7 anyways, and the tasks and the rules of 75 Hard do take up a lot of time. So personally, I don't find them to be consistently sustainable. I'm not going to do 75 Hard rules the rest of my life. But what I would love to do is do some similar version of 75 Hard like 80% of the time. I'd love to be getting outdoor daily walks in, maybe not 45 minutes, maybe 20 minutes every morning, but still working out at night every night. And if I'm not working out, maybe I'm stretching. And maybe if I'm just stretching, I don't do a 45-minute stretch. I just do a 20-minute stretch. Kind of like toning things down a little bit, but still having that consistency and that, constant stream of endorphins and feel-good feelings that you get when you're going outside and getting fresh air and sunlight, drinking enough water for your body and staying hydrated, eating foods that actually fuel us and don't just make us feel sluggish and gross all the time, and working out and moving our body and feeling strong and capable, which all at the end of the day brings emotional benefits and mental benefits that far outweigh the physical, in my opinion. Although the physical benefits of just feeling fit and being capable of, carrying your groceries up the stairs is awesome too. So hope that answers your question, but I do think it's different for everyone. And I would just say, give it a shot. Like you said, you think everyone should give it a go anyways. Definitely just give it a go and see how it goes for you. But that is all the questions. I had like a few more I was gonna maybe answer that weren't actually directly asked, but I thought would be fun to go through. But this is already way too long because I talk too much. So I'm gonna leave it at that. I want to just again thank you all so much for following along for so long. I just really appreciate all of you. And if you are new here, welcome. I'm sure you might have come from the 75 Hard video. So if you're new, let us know in the comments down below and let me know what you want to see more of. I'm trying to mesh together this freelancing, work for yourself lifestyle with also the 75 Hard piece, because I do think they're extremely connected. They probably don't feel very connected to you guys, but they are, in my opinion, super connected, and everything I've learned from doing 75 Hard has been so helpful in boosting my confidence and my self-esteem and my abilities when it comes to freelancing and working for myself. I think for anyone who wants to work for themselves, like 75 Hard has even double the benefit that it's going to have if you don't work for yourself. Not that it's still not helpful, but I think it really instills the skills needed for working for yourself in a crazy amazing way. So, and I actually have a video planned for that topic about what to do with the skills that you get from 75 Hard and how to take them and put them into your entrepreneurial life. So stay tuned for that one too. I have so much content coming. I'm like actually so pumped. I'm trying to put out 2 videos a week for you guys, plus 3 shorts a week, and touching base with you all on the community tab otherwise. So I'm trying to stay really consistent with YouTube because it is, like I said, my top priority and my biggest, most favorite thing that I do. So thank you all for supporting and sticking along and making that even possible for me. I am so excited to share a financial update soon because this month is going to be my most profitable month from YouTube ever, which is crazy. And yeah, I'm just really excited to keep sharing. Let me know what you guys want to see from me, but otherwise I will see you guys all in the next video. Bye.